We're going to do a troubleshooting video for an exit sensor. This isn't necessarily for this exit sensor. This happens to be an EMX / Gatecrafters brand exit sensor, but this would apply also to a GTO, a cartel, and a state swing. Really all the exit sensors tend to have the same troubleshooting procedures to them. Their wiring is different in terms of colors and number of wires. However, when you're having an issue, and the issues I'm going to discuss, they can all be troubleshot the same way. What an exit sensor does is this detects moving metal. Moving metal is simply disrupting an electromagnetic field around the exit sensor. So one thing to understand about that is it can be other things that are disrupting the magnetic field. This could be high voltage. This can be a buildup of water with an electrical charge. There's a lot of things that can cause this to happen, and we'll discuss some of those later. Typically when we get calls about exit sensors, it's that it has been working for a while and now it's either making the gate open all the time or it's not reacting at all. Our very first thing to try is to recalibrate the exit sensor. When the exit sensor first has power applied to it, it is going through a calibration process where it detects the metal in its area. So you want to make sure to clear all the metal from the area, and then you want to disconnect the power going to the exit sensor. Usually it's a red and a black or a red and a bare wire. We have a circuit board here that has detachable terminals. Some circuit boards do, some don't. But you want to detach the power and let it sit for 5 minutes. Then you're going to reapply the power to the exit sensor, and then you're going to also let it sit for an additional 5 minutes. Do not move any metal near it. Do not move a shovel, anything that has metal, because this will disrupt the calibration process. Once you've been through the calibration process, if you're still having issues, it could be an interference issue. There's a couple of possible causes of interference. It could be electrical noise or it could be physical around the wand. We're going to start with the electrical noise. Most of the time you have your exit sensor being powered off the circuit board itself. If you're thinking there might be some electrical noise coming from the circuit board, you can take the 2 power leads off of the circuit board and go directly to a battery with a positive to the positive and a negative to the negative. You can do this testing it by just holding it on the battery, and then you can wait however long it's been that you normally have interference, the gate going back open again or opening randomly or staying open because of the exit sensor, and see if this corrects the problem. Now remember, you move the power, so you're going through a calibration period again. So you want to pause when you do this, don't test it right away. So now that you're holding it on the battery, you're seeing if it malfunctions. If it doesn't malfunction off the battery, that means you might have had some electrical noise coming from the circuit board. If you have a battery that stays charged and it's readily available, just leave it powered off the battery. You don't necessarily have to have the power coming off the circuit board. Another thing you could do is if you don't have a battery readily available, but you do have an outlet, you can get a transformer that has a ground to it and power the exit sensor off of the transformer. You'd be looking for a 12 to 24 volt DC transformer. The milliamps don't have to be very high at all. This thing operates on about 10 milliamps. So usually a 200 milliamp, 100 milliamp are all fine. And you can go much higher if you can only find a 500 or 1000 milliamp, those are fine as well. If we've eliminated power as the issue that's making this happen, what we can also look for is circumstances around the exit sensor. We have our exit sensor dug up right now. Normally this is buried about 6 inches to a foot down. If you're really close to the end of your gate and you have a scenario where your gate doesn't open randomly, but once it does go open, it either does not close or starts to close and goes back open again, it's most likely the closing of the gate that is triggering the exit wand to open. It is most likely the motion of the gate that is disrupting the magnetic field of the exit wand and causing it to reopen the gate. You can try decreasing the sensitivity of the exit wand by burying it deeper. Now let's say you're nowhere near the gate. That's not the scenario. It seems to be random. Sometimes it's when the gate's closing. Sometimes open the gate from the closed position. So it's not necessarily the movement of the gate doing this. If you happen to notice that the malfunctionings are happening when it's after a rain or after your sprinkler system is on, it could be water affecting your exit sensor. There's a couple of things you should do when installing your exit sensor that you can go back and do to try to eliminate this. First, dig up the exit sensor and leave it on top of the ground to dry out. If it goes back to functioning properly and you're not getting random openings, then you can be pretty sure that water is the cause of your issue. When you rebury your exit sensor, bury the sensor at a slight angle so that way water flows away from where the wire enters the exit sensor. So that way water flows away from where the wire enters the exit sensor. Also, about 10 to 12 inches down the line from the exit sensor, start knotting up your wire. And then put this over a small hole with gravel in it. This makes drainage. When the water's running down this line, it won't be a direct shot into the exit sensor. When the water travels, it will hit this knotted mess and it'll drain into that little gravel pit. These two actions should help to keep water away from the exit sensor. Of course, if you want to, you can always encase the exit sensor in another PVC pipe as well. Make sure it's PVC and not copper, and you can seal it. But these two actions of angling this and knotting this should help keep the water away.